Hello, New York. William Kent Chapman, candidate for governor of New York State. A little bit dark today. Got a little bit of drizzle. Strikes me as that's the perfect weather to talk about the state of education in New York. Talk about education in New York, of course that means we're talking about the Common Core. Got quite a bit to say about it. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. But first, I'd like to say, kiss my ass. That's right, New York. Kiss My Ass is a fine wine made in the Finger Lakes. Now, maybe I'm slightly exaggerating the case to call this a fine wine, but it's a good wine. All wines made in New York have their place. If I read the label on the back, that place is apparently picnics, hot tubs, or any party occasion. I'll go along with that. This is what they call a picnic wine, a jug wine, a batch wine. The people who make this buy all kinds of grape varieties, mix them together until they are identical to what they were the year before. They balance the sugar and the acid exactly, and then they bottle it. By the time you buy it, it's dead. It may taste good, it may give you the effect you're looking for, but it'll never be different than the moment you bought it. It'll never develop. That's why I call this, and this is not the people who made this choice, they do not know I'm doing this, but I would like to make this the official wine of the Common Core. Now we go up the road a little bit, we get to Dr. Frank's winery. This is a different kind of wine. It's called vintage wine. See that? It's got a date on it. Okay? It's got a variety of grape. All the grapes that went in this were from Gewürztraminer. Very good. Yes, I know I just mispronounced it. Never mind. But it's all from, in this case, 2014. This wine is different. It reflects the year in which it was made. It grows. It changes from year to year. That means some years, this is ambrosia. This is the nectar of the gods. This is fantastic. This, I would call the wine of public education. It kind of reminds me of a good Cabernet Sauvignon. If you take it as it is, at first it's quite a rough wine. But if you set it up, lay it down in the cellar in a cool place for a few years, all of a sudden it's great. That it is with public education. It develops. It's a living thing. Okay? We've had the Common Core in New York now since Andy Cuomo came in 7 years ago. Let's ask a question for you. How's that working for you, New York? Are you happy? Are you happy with the Common Core? Are you happy with your kids' grades? Are you happy the way they're being treated in school? Are you happy with the way they're being treated by the state? Well, most of you are going to answer no. What is the Common Core? In my opinion, in some ways it's illegal. It goes beyond that. In my opinion, it's unconstitutional. The Common Core has been unconstitutional since its inception, since the inspiration for it. The Common Core, I'm sorry, has nothing to do with education. It is one more method for the 1% in this country to siphon money in their direction. Money they don't need. Schools do. Now, I think it's unconstitutional in the way it was instituted, in its implementation. Did you vote for the Common Core? I didn't vote for the Common Core. None of us did. It was brought in darkness and deceit, like every other criminal thing. Talk about taxation without representation? This couldn't be a more extreme case in modern times. What are the results of the Common Core? Again, unconstitutional. I say the results are racist. Before the Common Core, we had public education. We were closing the gap between different racial groups. There was less difference. Tests were being written to reflect both groups, what their understanding was, their cultural backgrounds. First set of Common Core results come back, all of a sudden, bam! The gap's back, it's growing. Did one group get dumber? Did one group get smarter? I don't think so. So the Common Core. Completely unconstitutional in my opinion. If you do vote me as governor in 2 years, we will immediately start proceedings in the Supreme Court to have it declared that. And not just in New York, in the whole country. Because I've heard chilling tales of what's happened to education in other states. What have we done? What's come about? Well, when Bob, that's what I call Barack Obama, when he took office, we had the greatest private educational system in the world. When Andy Cuomo 7 years ago took office, New York had the greatest private education system in the country. Now, not only are those things gone, are they under attack, but we have built in 7 years the largest educational bureaucracy in the world. And not one of those bureaucrats has anything directly to do with teaching our kids. That's something to think about. I said before, it's about money. Any of these big things where they try to get national consensus to make everything the same is about money. You ask, well, how do they do this? Where does the money go? When we buy textbooks in public school, we're steered to certain countries. They're $85 a book when we're buying them in bulk. Shouldn't be a quarter of that. A few years ago, governor just suddenly said, let's make every student in New York a Regents student, because it'll make it all better, because everybody knows Regents diplomas are the top in New York. What did it really mean? It meant every student had to take a Regents test, and the people who print the test, do they do it for free? No. I heard some unbelievable figures from a woman on Chicoteague Island last year. They finally got them to track down and admit what they were paying for every test, and I believe it was Maryland, and it was unbelievable. And a good chunk of that money goes right back to the people who own those big book companies. They also own the big printing companies. 1% people. The people who got more money than God, and yet they want to steal ours. Okay? It's an election year. A few years ago, there was so much anger in New York, Common Core was listed as the #1 issue that was affecting voters, their choices. Why aren't we hearing about it? We're not hearing anything about it on the national stage. Hillary, not a word. Trump, not a word. They're just going to let things sit the way they are because they're happy because the people who donate to their campaigns are the people who are pushing the Common Core down our throats. New York, when's the last time you heard the governor talk about the Common Core? When the state was in revolt against the governor, he would talk about it a little bit. Now for the last year, when the election's coming, they won't even use the word. They will not say Common Core. They choke if they try. Look at their face. I'm telling you the truth. I'm a politician. That's all I could do, right? Okay. Everything for the last year, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The politicians are doing their jobs. They're doing what they should have been doing. And they're doing it so good, it makes you feel guilty for wanting to oppose them. But I'll tell you this right now. In 50 days, the election's going to be over. And I'll tell you, all this goodwill will be gone. In no time at all, the private agendas, the party agendas are going to come popping back out. And I'll tell you, when the politicians hit the fan, our kids are going to get nailed again. You're going to get the Common Core twice as bad. If it turns out I'm wrong, I'd love to apologize for that statement. But I think the state of education in New York is going to go downhill far worse. Now, I said before, I vote for me, Common Core is going to be gone. Can't just throw it out an entire educational system. But I'll tell you this right now. It would take me less than 1 year to replace it with sanity. To replace it with compassion. What would I do? Federal government out of education. We have separation of church and state. We need badly separation of school and state. The federal government has proved they are not capable of handling it without turning it into a financial issue and a fiasco that's hurting our kids, that's hurting our parents. You know, they want to talk about their legacy. Barack's getting ready to leave. You know, what's his legacy going to be? I'll tell you your legacy, Barack Obama. Your legacy is going to be the millions of students across this country that thought the public education was going to help them, in their futures, a guide point, a way to plan their life around for their futures. You took it away from them. And what did you replace it with? The Common Core. All right. Fed government out of education. If they try to push it on New York, we ignore it. Let them make the next move. Regents diplomas, hey, that's a damn good idea. I've never said anything against the idea of a high-level high school diploma. Competition, showing exactly what the students know, teaching them what they need for the workforce. But in New York, it's from Albany. It comes from state ed department, nothing else. Local diplomas, Albany, get your goddamn hands off them. Local school districts are the only ones that have anything to do with their local needs. They set the standards for local diplomas. That's the way it was for years. That's the way public education worked. That answered the needs of our local student. This idea that you can do this cookie cutter thing where one size fits all, bull. And while we're on the subject of locals, special education. Special education teachers are the heroes of our educational system. They should, I tell you, if I get to be governor, right off the bat, they're going to get their own holiday. Because they deserve it. Damn bugs. Okay? I'm sorry I can't promise you a raise. We'll have to see what the checkbook looks like when I get there. But they need recognition. Right now, special education classes are getting less resources, but way more students. And why? Because when the government took over and made everybody have a regent's diploma, that meant the people who couldn't quite make regents got their parents, got everybody else to push to get them identified with some obscure thing so they can get put in a special ed class so they can get a local diploma. Because it's possible there. They have different standards there for only a few students, but that'll allow them to get through. Those people could have done fine in a local diploma that was set by local standards. And that's what we need to get back to. A few years ago, just south of Albany, not too far from the governor's place, I was talking to a group of people. I was talking about the Common Core. That's what I was invited there for. I had papers with me, I had charts, I had anecdotes, I had results. And right at the start, this woman I thought looked sympathetic looks up and says, "Mr. Chapman, we don't care what you think, and we don't want to hear about it." And I'm like, damn, that's harsh. That's a hard thing to say to a person like me. I like to talk, in case you didn't notice. She says, "We don't care if you're bat crap crazy. We don't care what kind of conspiracy theories you believe in. We only want to know what you'll do." Well, I think I just said what I'll do. That's the short version. Believe me, I could go on for hours about this, and I'd be glad to. Ever want to talk to me? Give me a call. And I'll debate anybody in this state, anybody at any level, about the Common Core. And I'll tell you right now, Common Core cannot stand the light of day. It cannot stand the facts. It cannot stand that. Nothing from the devil can. Nothing evil can. No criminal activity can stand in the light. They can't stand in front of truth. You debate me, I'll gut you like an old carp. Now, in the meantime, I think I'm going to go inside and settle down. I think I'm going to bring a friend with me. Talk to you soon, New York.